Bill Barr, who was the Attorney General of the United States. Now, the US presidency, the first term of Donald Trump, ends on the 20th of January. It is now the 15th of December, yet he decided to pull the pin today, meaning that there will be an acting Attorney General. But effectively, why would you pull the pin before the end of the term as opposed to just see the term out? Now, apparently there was a meeting today with the President and the now former Attorney General, and he said he had a nice meeting with the Attorney General of the White House. Our relationship's been a very good one. He's done an outstanding job, and within a couple of minutes, bang, that's it, he was gone. Matt, there are two big questions that sit over the Justice Department between now and the 20th of January, and that is the ability to set up a special prosecutor into Hunter Biden and all of the potential influence that he was selling. This is on top of the already formerly non-existent, now completely existent, investigations into his tax and other business dealings. Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon and others say there should be a special prosecutor into what happened at the election, and particularly Dominion voting. So now that somebody who doesn't have to go to the Senate because they can basically fill a month and a bit, having the full power of the Attorney General, do you think that they will be launching these landmine investigations on their way out?
Look, it's hard to say, Paul. The first thing that I want to say is what's happened to Donald Trump. I don't think he's never fired someone so politely ever, going right back to his apprentice days. I mean, you know, he usually is a bit more dramatic with the tweets firing someone. But look, I don't know. I do think what I think is unfortunate is, and congratulations to President-elect Joe Biden today. But it's extremely unfortunate that a big chunk, some polls put it at least half of Americans don't trust the result. That's not a great outcome for any democracy. We're very fortunate here in Australia that we have a system which I think almost all Australians have a high trust in. But that's not what the situation in America. So in those circumstances, usually you would seek to have an inquiry to get to the bottom of any issues or complaints. I'm not sure the court process is really set up to do that. So that seems to make some sense, whether it's done through this process or another one. And in terms of the Hunter Biden issue, which is slightly separate, well, you know, your organisation, your parent company, Paul, has been vindicated. The New York Post went out hard on that story a few weeks from Election Day. They were vilified for it, banned from Twitter for it. And now they were exactly right. And there's some serious questions that have got to be asked about the media. I mean, we've got our own issues here in Australia, but the journalists just don't seem to be doing their job sometimes. You would have thought it would be a job of a journalist to try to investigate and expose a story of that magnitude about the alternative president's son. Well, and also, really, they've only seemed to get on that bike until after the election. It's too late. Yeah,
but also, it's a thing where you would expect journalists who claim to be independent to always be sceptical of government, to be sceptical of the existing or the incoming. The way that they were completely silent about a major question of compromise about a presidential candidate and now president-elect really matters. But here's what happened when Joe Biden got a question he didn't want today, because, of course, all he wanted the media to talk about today was the fact that more than 270 votes had been achieved in the Electoral College today.
Thanks for the congratulations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, Nicholas, this is what is fascinating, where the stagecraft that worked during an election is not going to work in a transition and is not going to work in government, right? Which was the idea of a couple of reporters, no sort of ambient noise that comes from crowds or anything like that. Instead, now he's in a scenario where if somebody wants to fire a question that is as legitimate as possible, right? His own campaign released information that that his son was being investigated. Worst case scenario or best case scenario about tax issues. First chance to fire a question at him, and he's got the shits that somehow you didn't lick his boots. Sorry, that's not the way it works. Now, I repeat, right, I get the partisan observers on the left or the right, or those of us that are in the talk show world, but if you're in the reporter world, that's exactly the job they had to do today.
Yeah, I mean, all of us on this program know how election campaigns work. They're very stage managed. You don't really get that sort of day in, day out questioning from journalists as you do, as President Trump would get in the White House press room. And at some point soon, Biden is going to have to start facing up to those questions. Now, do I think this is going to be a huge problem for him? No, I don't, because I think the Hunter Biden story is quite a complex one, and certainly in comparison to the business dealings of the Trumps, it pales into insignificance. But I do accept the point that, yeah, he can't just keep walking away from press conferences and refusing to take questions. He's in the big chair now, and the journalist and the American public got the right to know answers to some of these questions.
The frightening thing, though, Tim, is that given the behaviour of the media during the election, given the idea that his mere existence is apparently, the great panacea for the United States, there probably will be one or two people yelling out a question, but the rest of them, just like they did with Daniel Andrews in Victoria, will all look at those people slightly oddly and step back because they are annoying the dear leader, and the person yelling out the question will be considered the nutter, not the person not answering the question at the seat of power.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Given the way the President-elect answered or didn't answer or fumbled some answers during the election campaign, your description thereof just before might be apt when he takes office. Because I'm not sure this bloke's up to it. I'll be honest. I have kept my counsel on US politics for some time, but I am very worried that the President-elect physically, shall we say, might not be up to the great office he's just been elected to, and can I congratulate him for that victory. But he does worry me. He worries me in terms of his capacity to lead, his capacity to govern, and his capacity to do the job. He's obviously a particularly experienced politician. He's been in Washington for 40 years. He's got the woke left media wrapped around his little finger, as it would appear. But can he do the job? It's a tough job. It's a big job. And he didn't fill me with much confidence in handling the media and indeed the daily rigours of the presidency when he was the Democratic nomination throughout the last couple of months.
Well, and remember, transition is the best time of your presidency because it's all the title with none of the accountability, with none of the consequences. It just seems like he expects, fingers crossed we don't win one of the seats, we don't win both of the seats in Georgia, which means, oh, bugger, I get Trump's economy while I get Trump's vaccine, and then I get declared the great healer-in-chief. That's my role in American history. Over to you, Kamala. Anyway, we'll wait and see.